Does your Trello board ever look anything like this wall of cards? Let's take some inspiration from digital minimalism to turn that into something a little bit more manageable. That's right, today I'm going to show you how to tame a chaotic Trello board so you can actually find the tasks that you need to work on when you need to work on them. Okay, so a clever guy called Cal Newport wrote a book called Digital Minimalism. And he said, principle number one in this book is that clutter is costly. Digital minimalists recognize that cluttering their time and attention with too many devices, apps, and services create an overall negative cost that can swamp the small benefits that each individual item provides in isolation. Does this remind you of anything? It sounds a little bit like my Trello board, and this can happen really easily throughout a week, throughout a month, like you're just adding cards here and there. But before you know it, you've got a big old wall of cards and it's pretty hard to see what's going on. For those cards that you have in your board, which probably sit in your backlog or your to-do list, or maybe even to-do in a month or next year or whenever, these cards, after a while, you stop noticing them, right? And this is a well-known thing. It happens in advertising on web pages. So it's called ad blindness, and it's been well researched. And they found that after a while, users just stop noticing the ads because they don't find them interesting and they just want to read the thing that's relevant to them on that page. So I think the same thing happens with Trello. You have a list that you look at more often than the others, say your doing list, and you just tend to add cards straight into there and you just kind of ignore the other ones. So after a while, your board starts to build up and get busier and busier, and also you're probably likely to miss a pretty important task at some point. So let's try and avoid this card blindness, as I'm going to call it. I've got a few power-ups to help with this, but don't worry, they're all free, and also as per the recent updates from Trello, any board on any Trello plan can have an unlimited number of power-ups. For more information on that, check out the other video I made with a roundup of all those updates. There'll be a link here and one in the description as well on that video. So let's get into the power-ups. Okay, so the first one I'm going to show you is called Card Delete, and this is the one you need just to make sure you can tidy up that board and delete any cards that are completely old and you don't need them anymore. This is just going to speed up that process by removing a few clicks. So there's no need to archive a card anymore before you delete it. Your board will start to look much cleaner and less cluttered. And here we have card aging. So this will show you how old cards are on your board, which is great for showing you visually which ones are getting a little bit old, bit out of date, they need some attention, you haven't done anything on these for a while, and the longer you leave it, the more the cards are either going to fade, or, my personal preference, they will go into pirate mode, which you can do just by editing the power-up settings like this, and we click pirate, and then we can see that these cards are starting to fray and change color, and they do get worse than this. These aren't that old, but you'll see them and it gets really obvious. So it's a really nice reminder of the cards that you perhaps haven't looked at for a while, so you can just assess whether you still need them or whether they can be archived or deleted or moved somewhere else. Card Snooze. This is an awesome little power-up. It's free, it's made by Trello, and essentially what it does is it allows you to open up a card. Let's say this one, Google Ads campaign, and let's say we actually don't want to work on this for a while. You could, let's say in a week or even in a month. You can also just choose a particular time. So let's set in a couple of minutes from now. And then once you hit snooze, you now see this card has been archived. It is now gone from our list and from our board, but in a couple of minutes time, it should reappear and then you will be able to work on it again. So a great way to keep your board nice and clean and tidy. Next, we have list limits. Now, this is a really helpful power-up, again, another one from Trello, and it is free. This allows you to, as it says on the tin, set a limit on the number of cards that can be in each of your lists. So if you do have a problem with keeping on adding new cards and you have certain lists that you want to keep to a minimum, or let's say you only want to work on 3 active cards at any one time sitting in your in progress or doing column, then this is a great way to visually remind you that that is the case. So you click on these 3 dots here and then go down to set list limit, and here you can set the limit. So let's say 3 was our limit and we hit save, and now we can see it's gone bright yellow, and there's even a little counter here to show you how many you are on and what the limit is. So we have 7 cards in here right now and we only wanted 3. So we'd need to move a bunch of cards out of this list, and then now we can see it's gone back to grey because we're at the correct number. And my final tip for you doesn't require any power-ups, so if you think that's too much hassle, this one should be easier. And this is a great way if you do have a lot of cards on your board and you do actually need all of those. Let's say a lot of the cards are actually owned by other people in your team, and we want a way of seeing just the cards that you care about rather than this wall of cards. We want to just filter it down. So Trello has some pretty powerful filter features for this, and you can access these by going show menu and then search cards, and then you can select one of these labels if you have labels applied to your cards, or you can choose the member, so the person that's added to the card. So if I just select one of the labels, here we go. This looks way cleaner. We can just see a few cards, the ones that I actually care about for project number 2, and then I can work from there, but it gets better. Another great one, and if you've watched any of my videos on Trello so far, you probably will have come across this already because it's pretty much my favorite Trello tip and keyboard shortcut, and that is if you are a member of a card, which you can easily do by just hovering over a card and then pressing space, it will add you to the card. And if you have added yourself to the cards that you care about, if you now just press Q on your keyboard, it will filter down for just the cards that you are assigned to. So this is the best way to filter that board down to just the cards that you care about and keep all that clutter hidden away so you can easily see what you need to work on. Okay, Trello friends, that's it. So hopefully now your boards are going to stay in a much neater and tidier and clutter-free state so you can be a lot more productive. You'll find some links to all the power-ups I mentioned in this video in the description below, and make sure to check out the other videos on this channel. In particular, the one I just mentioned about the recent pricing updates, because that's still pretty new and it might affect what plan you're on and also the power-ups you might need and things like that. So you can find a link to that over here. And if you enjoyed this and if you want more Trello tips just like this and general productivity advice, make sure you hit subscribe on this video and you'll be up to date. All right, thanks for watching and I hope to see you next time.